A boy who suddenly gained teleportation powers became the world's easiest thief because he could teleport straight into bank vaults, bag up loads of cash, and vanish. If that wasn't enough, he'd just make multiple trips. Who else could be this efficient? It really doesn't get better than this. The boy now lived a completely carefree life. He lived in a top-tier New York apartment with everything he could want. His walls were covered with photos from around the world. When he got bored, he'd tour the world in seconds. One moment he'd walk out of his New York apartment building, the next he'd be standing on Big Ben in London. When hungry, he'd pop over to have breakfast on top of the Sphinx in Egypt. Who needs conventional travel when you can see the world in a day? The whole planet was now his playground. This was Jumper David's daily life. However, he had no idea someone was already onto him. That's right. Long before assembling the Avengers, Nick Fury was already leading a Ranger organization. This group specialized in tracking jumpers. More accurately, they weren't just tracking them, they were hunting them down. Turns out David wasn't the only one who could teleport. There were many others in this world. Meanwhile, David teleported back to his hometown after years away and found Millie, his childhood crush. Learning she was working as a bartender and struggling to make ends meet, David, who could now spend freely, decided to take Millie on a trip. But he absolutely couldn't reveal his secret to her. They flew straight to Rome, stayed at the most expensive hotels, and embarked on the most carefree adventure. The guy who once had nothing was finally living his perfect dream. At the Roman Colosseum, David secretly used his teleportation to open all the staff-only doors for Millie, exploring restricted areas. But soon, in a hidden corner, he discovered Griffin, another guy who could teleport. Before David could ask many questions, Griffin warned him that danger was coming and to stop focusing on his date. Sure enough, moments later, a group of uninvited guests showed up. Armed with specially designed electric batons, they immediately began their hunt. That's right, they were members of the Ranger organization. And Griffin was an expert at counter-hunting, specialized in killing Rangers. Turns out he'd had his eye on David all along, knowing he'd attract Rangers and had been waiting here. With Griffin's skills, he quickly took out these Rangers, then teleported back home. David's head was spinning. He rushed back to find Millie. To keep her out of harm's way, David brought her to the airport and painfully said goodbye. Then he teleported back home. But he immediately sensed something was wrong. Sure enough, Nick was already there waiting for him.
8 years we've been looking for you.